Oppo couldn't have picked a worse time to launch the Reno 4 Pro in India right on the heels of the OnePlus Nord. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, its price tag of nearly 35,000 rupees didn't really sit well with a lot of people, especially when you consider the SoC it uses, which is usually found in smartphones under 20,000 rupees. However, if you look past the pricing and the SoC for a moment, you'll see that there's still a lot to like about the Reno 4 Pro. It's time to decide if good looks can make up for the lack of processing power, even if that comes at a high cost. Hi, I'm Royden and you're watching Gadgets 360, and this is a review of the Oppo Reno 4 Pro. Now before we go ahead, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and also hit that bell icon so you're the first to know whenever we have a new video.
One of the best bits about the Reno 4 Pro is that premium design. Simply put, it's quite beautiful. It stands out from the competition and is perhaps the only phone that comes to mind in this price range that offers a curved display, a feature that's typically found in more expensive models. It's also incredibly slim and light, but in order to get this level of lightness, Oppo has had to compromise a bit by using a plastic frame instead of metal and a polymer resin for the back panel instead of glass. But despite this, the phone still feels very sturdy and the frosted texture on the back doesn't attract many fingerprints. The Oppo Reno 4 Pro has a large 6.5-inch Super AMOLED display reinforced with Corning's Gorilla Glass 5. It also supports a 90Hz refresh rate, which is nice. Unfortunately, Oppo has dropped the HDR10 support for the Indian model, which is a little disappointing. But the display is very good and gets plenty bright with saturated colors. Moving on, let's talk about the thing I mentioned at the start of the video, the specs. It is powered by the Snapdragon 720G, which is paired with 8 gigs of RAM and 128GB of internal storage.
While this is good enough for a smartphone under 20,000 rupees, at 35,000 rupees, it definitely feels underpowered. I mean, take for example the OnePlus 7T. It has a Snapdragon 855 Plus, which is way more powerful and costs about the same as the Oppo Reno 4 Pro. Even the OnePlus Nord is better off with its 765G SoC, and it even costs less. Having said that, I didn't really notice any issues with day-to-day performance. Navigating the interface felt snappy, apps loaded quickly, and multitasking was generally a breeze. Heavy games such as Call of Duty Mobile and Asphalt 9 Legends ran just fine too, with reasonably good graphics. Even PUBG Mobile was fun to play at the HD graphics quality and high frame rate settings, which are the highest levels available on the Reno 4 Pro. Now, despite its slim body, I never really noticed any abnormal heating issues with this phone, even after extended gaming sessions. It's just that it would have been nice to have a bit more processing power at this price. The Reno 4 Pro runs on Oppo's ColorOS 7.2, which is based on Android 10. The fingerprint reader is not as quick as that on the OnePlus Nord, although face recognition worked pretty well even under dim lighting. The Reno 4 Pro is backed by a 4000 mAh battery and comes bundled with a 65-watt charger. Now, it easily lasted me for about a day and a half on average with medium to light usage. The charging brick is about the same size as the OnePlus charger, but it can charge the phone from 0 to about 97% in just 30 minutes, which is ridiculously quick. The cameras are another area where the Indian model of the Oppo Reno 4 Pro differs from the global one. The Indian model has 4 rear cameras, which include a 48MP primary, an 8MP ultra-wide, a 2MP macro, and a 2MP depth camera. Now, the global model keeps the same primary camera, but the secondary cameras are a 13MP telephoto and a 12MP ultra-wide. Now, trust me, I'm not too thrilled about this trade-off either, but if it's any consolation, both models do get the same selfie cameras, and that is a Sony IMX616 sensor that we recently also saw on the OnePlus Nord. In terms of image quality, the primary Sony IMX586 sensor delivers predictable results during the day. Details are generally good, HDR works well, and colors are nicely saturated. Now, there are times when the camera AI boosts the colors a bit, like when it detects plants or flowers. The wide-angle camera can be useful, but it tends to capture weaker details and muted colors compared to the main one. Portrait shots look decent. The level of blur can be adjusted before shooting, and the new filters add some fun effects to your shot. Macro camera isn't the easiest to use compared to other implementations. Low-light photos aren't too noisy, but the sensor doesn't pick up a lot of detail in darker regions of the frame. However, night mode does make a big difference to the photo. The selfie camera captures good quality photos during the day. Backlit selfies didn't turn out great at times as skin looked heavily smoothened, but otherwise the sensor captured plenty of detail.
The Oppo Reno 4 Pro can shoot videos at up to 4K 30fps with stabilization, but only using the primary rear camera. The ultra-wide camera can shoot at up to 1080p, but sadly you can't switch between the cameras while recording at any resolution. Video quality is good in daylight, but in low light, the stabilization causes a jarring intermittent shimmer if you walk around. So, should you buy the Oppo Reno 4 Pro? Well, it could have been a strong contender in the Indian mid-tier smartphone segment if only Oppo had launched the global model with the Snapdragon 765G SoC and better selection of secondary rear cameras. The one we have here is still a good product, but at its current price of nearly 35,000 rupees, it's just too expensive and there's no getting around this fact. If you value a slim and light smartphone over high performance, then I can see the appeal of the Reno 4 Pro. It might not offer the best value at this price or standout camera performance, but you do get incredibly quick charging, good battery life and a premium looking display.
Now, I think most people are going to be happier with the OnePlus 7T at this price. I mean, sure, you lose out on the slim design and the super fast charging, but in place of that, you do get a more premium construction, you get better cameras, and of course, a much faster processor compared to the Reno 4 Pro. On the other hand, you can also look at the OnePlus Nord and phones like the Redmi K20 Pro and even the Realme X3 series, which offer much better all-round performance and cost a lot less. So that was my review of the Oppo Reno 4 Pro. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, for everything tech, log on to gadgets360.com.